I remember a particular incident at Tamulung where a police officer, ran with me for safety until I got to a point where I could have to do it on my own. So that's just to tell you, as a person with visual impairment, where I am even displaced.
In the midst of conflict and turmoil, there are individuals who defy adversity and inspire others. Meet Nsah Edwin, a visually impaired journalist based in Bamenda, Cameroon, who has been severely affected by the ongoing conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. Born blind over 3 decades ago in the northwest region, Edwin's life has been marked by challenges. His family, from a rural home within a conservative African setting, faced pressure from colleagues of his father, a traditional ruler, to eliminate Edwin to maintain the family's prestige.
Challenges I face first is that of acceptance. Like I did tell you off mic, born to a royal home within a conservative African setting is not easy, because they would kind of feel that your impairment is owing to a curse or some sort of witchcraft, or that you are ill luck to the family. And so I had my dad, a traditional ruler, whose peers and colleagues were pressurizing him to take my life, in order to survive and maintain his prestige as traditional ruler. But him not even knowing disability inclusion as a concept that is practicable, rejected having my blood in his hands, and that's where I dug my heart to him.
Despite the devastating attitudes of some students and colleagues, Edwin persevered.
The attitude of students in school, having to see a person with visual impairment, the attitude of colleagues at work, for an instance, when we go for coverages, them abandoning you to go run interviews on their own when they know actually that you're a colleague.
He learned to cope alone, washing his clothes, sweeping and mopping the floor, and cooking by himself.
I live alone, Alphonse. I live alone. I do things all by myself. Even though based on my vivacious nature, I have friends all around the quarter who from time to time would come and offer necessary assistance. But you wouldn't depend entirely on them, because they have their own errands to run. Like we are talking now, no neighbor is at home. You can see they have either gone to school or they are at work. And so if I'm hungry, I wouldn't want to wait for a neighbor to come before I get something to eat. So you have to try at all costs to get something that will fill your stomach. Or if I need to dress up, I wouldn't have neighbors come select clothes for me or clean my house. They are not available at that moment, so you have to go about your affairs, and they can only come in from time to time to assist.
Edwin has worked for several years for a local media organ in Bamenda, struggling to meet his basic needs. As a journalist in a conflict-hit region, he faces immense challenges.
It's strange, first of all, having a person with visual impairment projecting himself as a journalist, especially amidst the crisis where we don't know who is who. It could be people feel you're pretending to be a journalist so as to serve as a spy for one of the belligerents or the other. So they, like when they're supposed to be shooting, it's not announced. I remember there are times I leave radio at 9 p.m. when this crisis just started amidst curfew, and I'm going and they are shooting behind. Sometimes some of the belligerents who have a conscience would have to be the ones directing me, or even sometimes carrying me on their backs to run with me for safety. I remember a particular incident at Tamulung where a police officer, ran with me for safety until I got to a point where I could have to do it on my own. So that's just to tell you, as a person with visual impairment, where I am even displaced.
Imagine what a person with visual impairment goes through financially in an economically battered city like Bamenda. Life has become too expensive, and Edwin struggles to make ends meet.
Economically, to be very honest, now the town is very, very arid when it comes to money. So you just can imagine what it means for a person with visual impairment like myself, whose life is very costly. Places like 200 meters where I'm supposed to, if I were sighted, trek on foot, I would have to make use of a bike. But at this point now, prices of basic amenities, including fuel, have witnessed a spike, and it's not commensurate to what you earn as a journalist. So you just can imagine what it means as a person with visual. It's a double tragedy.
Mr. Edwin is a good neighbor to we for Akaka Junction here, and as a very cool and calm somebody, we know he, like say, it be very, very good in the society with the people where they around you. And for go ahead, Mr. Edwin, it really be very, very, very simple and very, very understanding.
This is the story of Nsah Edwin, a visually impaired journalist who refuses to let the crisis define him. His courage serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope.